family. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we have a lot to talk about. So come on in. Let me see if you're all here with me. Can you hear me well? Where's everyone? It's awfully quiet on that end. Are we here together? Let's see if we're here together. Can anyone hear me? Oh, there you are. Hello, love. Hello, hello, hello. We're coming on in. We're coming on in. There you are. Today we've got some good stuff to talk about today. Let me get my little cards. So today, this is going to be a hot subject. It's going to be a hot subject. Hello, lovelies. Welcome, family. Does that say Wait a minute. Let me put my glasses on. Hey, Trinidad. I just saw another good one there on the screen. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I've got my light up here so that it's not so dark. So I'm going to have to figure out how to look at you guys without all of this bounce. Juggling about this topic today. Oh, it's a good topic. Trust me, because this topic today is a topic that so many people have asked me about. Can you help me with this thing, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Well, welcome, family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's come on in. UK, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Trinidad. We're going to do a little bit of libation today just to kind of get things started. Georgia in the house. Let's see, who else we got? Come on in, family. We're going to talk about what happens when we get to the other side. Sell those hats on the website. I'm going to be selling these hats, but I've got a special place to sell it to you from. And that we're working on, because now I'm just getting a whole bunch of them. Because I went to an event the other day. I have to tell you guys. I went to this event and this lady came up. I don't even know where she was standing. She came straight up to me and she said, "Where'd you get that hat? I know you made that hat." I said, "Yes, I did." I said, "You want to order one?" She goes, "Yeah." She's like, "Give me your number." So I've got these hats. These are great because they can be worn by men and women, not necessarily men with this print, but I have other ones for men. Hey, NEWARK, come on in, family, come on in. So let's start with a little libation. I'm going to use my water because I left my little bowl. Omi tutu, ana tutu, ile tutu, tutu, bobo egon. So this says cool, Omi tutu, ana tutu, cooling the road. Ile tutu, cooling your home. And I have a libation prayer on Yeyeo.com. And I said, tutu bobo egun, G-B-O, G-B-O, egun, to all of your ancestors, all of you that are on here with me today. And my staff is going to be like, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be on Instagram at the same time." So I'm going to take a moment here. We're going to go on Instagram. Let me see if I can get my tripod, because you guys, I forgot to go on Instagram. So we're just going to get on, because As they say in life, better late than never, right? Better late than never. So I'm just going to set this up. So family, people continuously ask this question. They continuously ask this question. And I want to be able to answer this question for all of you today because this comes up so often. So let's just get on Instagram together for a minute. Welcome, welcome, family on Instagram. It's Elemi from Yeyeo Botanica. Today we're talking about what happens when you get on the other side. What happens to our ancestors, or when we become an ancestor, right? Because we're all going to become an ancestor at some point. And I've really kind of waited to have this particular talk, but the ancestors told me, they said, you need to talk about this because there are times where people really don't understand what we go through when we transition. And I noticed that a lot of times people think that the ancestors are with them all the time. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like and how that can be helpful or not to all of you. And so we did libation. And again, we did Omi Tutu for the people who are on Instagram. They missed this. Omi Tutu, Ana Tutu, Ile Tutu, Tutu the Bobo Egun, the ancestors of everyone present. I have someone who is just a lovely dear of mine, one of my godchildren, who her mom transitioned last week. And during that time was when the ancestors told me, you need to do this video. And for all of you who've been on my channel or interacted with me, you know I do a lot of contact. I contact ancestors on the other side. I do contact for all different kinds of people to give messages that the ancestors want to give and want people to know. And so the big question before I get started, I want you to all to think about this question, because I'm going to see if we have a little message today before we start to get into what the message is. And today we want to hear from all of you, but definitely hear what the ancestors have to say to us. And I just want to open up. Whoop, okay. Okay. Well, here's the first card that came. And this is just a card just to kind of break the ice. This is not to negate our conversation at all. But the card that came up is feel. Look at that rainbow. Feel. Right? And so one of the things that we all, right, when someone passes away that we really care for, that we love, or that we have a lot of heart for, people grieve, they mourn, right? And we mourn the tangible aspect of the person, right? Or we mourn the interaction, all of the things, whether it be a parent, a loved one, a child, that's really what we're attached to. But we're not thinking in that moment that this person's still going to be around, right? It's the physical that we as human beings are very attached to. Even animals mourn their children. And so one of the biggest messages that the ancestors said is, I want you to tell them about what we go through when we go on the other side. And so who here, I want to see just a couple hands, you know, all my lovelies, a couple hands of who believes in reincarnation. Who here believes in reincarnation? My brother just passed. God bless you. And God bless him. We send him to the light to trend. I do, okay. So I want to know because one of the people that I deal with said to me, Elemi, you need to do a group regression. You need to do a group past life regression. And so anyone on this particular live, if you're interested in participating in a group regression with me, past life regression, where you can just see a snippet of who you were in a previous lifetime, I want you to send an email to botanica@yeyeo.com, or in the comments of this particular video to say if you're interested and how you can be reached, and put your email address if you're comfortable with that. But these events are very private. I don't open it up to everyone because I can only interact with so many people in a particular setting. But if you believe in past life, then you know that we're energy. And so this thing, this body, right, is housing this energy. And so when we pass away, or when we're born, let's start with that. When we're born, this energy, and in the Yoruba faith, we call it Ori, now gets housed with this body, infused with this body, which is what we call the soul. We call it the essence of who we are. And now this program that has already been programmed as what we call a destiny manifests itself within our life. So we can have a bigger conversation about that. I've done live on Ori that is on our YouTube channel, Yeyeo Botanica on YouTube. And so now we know that we start with that. Well, when we pass away, that consciousness called Ori, or the soul, ejects itself from this physical body and now is in energy, right? So people who come from a very Anglo-Saxon background, they will say, oh, you know, they go to heaven, they go to purgatory, they go to hell. I'm not going to get into that discussion today. That's a bigger discussion. We're not going to get into that. I don't know about you. I haven't been to heaven. Hell has been here on earth for many people. Heaven is here on earth, and purgatory is here on earth. So we're going to stay in the conversation of energy and what happens to our consciousness when we move on. So let me just see, because I love this stuff. I could be talking about this all day long. Let's see, it was there. Okay, everyone's just listening. That's great. And definitely share this live, especially with loved ones that are mourning, or loved ones who have an ancestral space set up, right? And so for those of you who have an ancestor altar set up, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that about your husband. God bless you. Anyone who has an ancestral space set up in their home, or a relative has it, friend has it, no, they're not with you all the time. So, because we as humans, right, we want, I love you, you love me. That means we're supposed to be together all the time. However, remember that we're not the only person that ancestor is keeping track of, right? We're not the only person. Their grandchildren that they want to see, people who live in another state from where they were born or where they passed away, grandchildren, all of that, they're going to check. Why? Because in the realm of the infinite, there's no boundaries. They can go all over. There's nothing that's holding them unless they are not evolving, right? If this ancestor is not, or a person who passes away first, they're not considered as an ancestor until after a certain period of time. But some of you said that you wanted me to do a talk on enlightened and unenlightened ancestors. And that's another live that we're going to have, and another talk that we're going to have. And there is a video that is coming out that corroborates or goes with this particular live. But I really wanted to spend some time with you so that we could really go through this. So when someone passes away, they have an assignment. You will have your assignment. So in the Bible, we hear about the day of judgment, that people stand in front of God, find out about how did you live your life? Did you live it with Iwa, right? In the Yoruba faith, we call it Iwa, character. And Iwa Pele is good character. How did the person live their life? Do they have something that they want to atone for, or that they need to make right with, whether it be a relative, situations, so on and so forth? So when people pass away, or when people transition, whatever words you would like to use, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Yoruba faith, but I'm also going to talk about generally speaking, because there are many people who know that I'm a Yoruba priest, and this is what I do, in addition to other traditional practices that I'm ordained in. So many of you are so into the Orisha Oya, right? The Orisha Oya, so lovely, so beautiful. The gatekeeper, right? So when people transition, there is someone based on, or some deity based on your practice that invites the person to the other side. And first we hear about ancestors. Many times people say, oh, this person, they're getting close to transition. They notice that a lot of ancestors have come forward. The ancestors, they say, oh, I see this person, I see that person who passed away, and now I'm dreaming about them. Now they're coming. Why? Because they're coming to usher the person to the other side. And also in the Yoruba faith, there's the concept of Egbe, right? Whether it be these are your ancestors, in addition to guardian spirits that look for the person, that are part of their heavenly family, it's called at times. So these spirits are there to help take the person on their journey. So if we know that they're going on a journey, that means they're not hanging out with us immediately, right? But if a person, this is a sweet thing for all of you who are on the channel and you know about my sweet thing, this is a sweet thing. When a person transitions, if you or I or anyone is mourning in a way that is just unbelievable. I mean, there are people who are mourning for years and years, and God bless you. Please, I implore you to continue to work through that. A lot of times the spirits will not transform, especially for parents who pass away with young children. I've seen this so many times, that the spirit is not evolving because they're so tied to either their children, their loved ones, that they're not moving. And so one of the first things that we really should do, which I didn't bring over here, but is white light, right? Putting a white candle with a glass of water and making prayer for them to rise, to elevate. Because the more they're elevated and get to the other side and go through their transitional steps, again, we've heard about 40 days and 40 nights, right? And we could get into all of the impacts of that and what does it mean. Different traditions have different amount of days. Some only have 9, some have 90, some have 80, some have 77, 40, whatever it is that your doctrine is or what your belief is, It doesn't really matter. The point is, the spirit has to evolve away from their body, away from their physicality, the things that they loved, and start to move to the next level of what their assignment is. So now we've gone on to transition, being ushered, being taken, and then now this part of detaching from the body and the earthly life. So I'm going to pause here for just a second because I've just been talking. You guys know I'd be talking here all day about this subject. These are my specialties. Let's see what we have. Does anyone have, were there any questions that I didn't see? No, they're just hot on this subject. Okay, that's good. So we're going to keep talking. So now, how do you know that your loved one didn't detach? What a beautiful question. Well, there are times where people are seeing the person too often, too soon. If a person passes away and it's been, let's say, a couple of weeks, they're talking to people, they're coming in dreams, they're doing all these things, a person is feeling like they're around. Some people have the gift of smell, sight, things like that. That means they're not detaching. They're supposed to be radio silent for a while until they go through their process. In my community, I say that you need to give them a year to go through all 4 seasons, right? It takes a baby 9 months to be born, so it takes them time to go through their own transitional phase. And for some of you who've asked about, people have passed away tragically, can I put them on the altar and this and that? I always say, 1, check with someone who can really verify that answer for you. And 2, sorry, that question distracted me. And 2, definitely give them their time. You can say, I wish light, peace, progress, transformation for X relative. But as it pertains to putting them on the altar and having them participate in the work that the ancestors do, it is advisable to give them at least 9 months to a year to go through their process. All right? So let's get to their assignment. Their first assignment is to complete what they need to complete with people in the lineage, right? So let's say that there was a problem between a parent and a child. I've seen this so many times where parents, and no offense to anyone here, but I have this many times from fathers and mothers who have either 1, abandoned their children, 2, have put them up for adoption, 3, mistreated them while they were alive. That is one of their first assignments, is to go back and help that person. So many times I've read people and all of a sudden this ancestor shows up and I'm like, well, who's this person? And they'll say, oh, I'm a father or I'm a mother. And, I know they're working through this problem and I'm here and I want them to know I'm here to help them, right? So I want you to know that you are a part of their debt when they get on the other side to assist you and to help you. Right? And so a lot of times people don't realize that these ancestors are here. They don't realize that these loved ones are here. And many times I've heard people even say, I was so angry at that person. And I say, I understand that. But now that they're on the other side, they want to make it right. They want to do what they can. And so it doesn't mean that they sorry. It doesn't mean that you're going to all of a sudden, we're going to be friends and, we're all good. No, this is a transition. It's also an opportunity for you to heal. So I want to just jump on this little piece. Another sweet thing for all of you who are on my channel. So you need to realize that this is an opportunity to not only heal yourself, but to heal with them. Tell them, I'm grateful that you're there to help me, but you are real, you know what. And I let that go. I let that go because by letting it go, it will help you to transform and it'll help me heal. Notice you both win. And so I encourage all of you to really, really work through that. We all have had someone, living or not, that we've had some angst with that we want to kind of work through it. And so just know that they're looking for you to give peace to it. They're looking to you to say you forgive them, you let it go on to the light, go on to God, elevate yourself, right? And so this is something that I want you all to know. The first thing, outside of being ushered, is you are part of their assignment. Then the next thing is, if there are health challenges in your family and they passed away from some of those health challenges, they don't want to see you pass from the same thing. They don't want to see you pass from the same thing. Why? Because some of those health challenges are due to family patterns that are negative. Some of them are just passed down in DNA. So it's important for you to know that ancestors are there to help you. Why? Because then they're in the light form. This is why sometimes we can see them in dreams and all of these different things, because the more elevated they are is the stronger they are to come back and help you. And so they just said something, so I'm going to pass this on. So the statement is, we're not working as soon as we pass away. So I don't know who this is for, who's on this live. I don't know who this is for. There's a man here that's saying, he said, I lived my whole life working hard for my children. And he has a daughter who has an ancestral altar up. And she's like, yeah, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. And she has some of his personal effects at her altar, but he's only transitioned a very short period of time. This particular spirit, for whoever's on this live hearing this, he says, I don't want to work. And so this is really important to understand. This is part of the reason why we need to let them go through their process so that they can become strong, they can become of light, they can be evolving in their own journey. So I hope so. I hope you've received that message. So that they can now come back and bless you, bless your family, bless your loved ones without trying to work them, right? And for some of you who have watched my Ancestor Altar mistakes and Ancestor Altar must-haves, one of the things that I share with you in those videos is that the ancestors are here to help you, but they're not here to be slaved. So the ancestor altar and your money drawing altar should be two separate things. Wink, wink. Who's out? You already know who you are, babies. You already know who you are, right? Your ancestor altar is not your love altar. It's not your job altar. It's not your money altar. It's not your manifesting altar. Only if you're advanced for the manifesting part. And that's a whole different session. So let's see if we have a few of you giving some comments before I jump off. Oh, that's a very good question. So reincarnation is based on the spirit, right? Some people will not reincarnate based on your level of spiritual elevation, right? So people who are extremely elevated spiritually, a lot of times will not reincarnate. They will come back as spirit guides. They may not come back at all. They may be in very high astral plane, but they will not come back to reincarnate in the body, because reincarnation is very much tied to an incompletion of assignment. There's something that is incomplete in the process of the soul. So we come back. There are some people who I have ordained and initiated where they said, you came back to complete this step. You came back to do something. You came back to bless people. That in your own journey and in your own evolution, something was missed. I've seen people who reincarnated because they were enslaved in another life, and so they were not able to fully exercise their fullest potential, right? So there's so many different reasons. Reincarnation in certain practices, in some circles in the Yoruba faith also, they believe that people reincarnate very quickly. In my experience, that is not the case, that people come back as soon as they pass, that they manifest into another body. How can they do that if they're going through a process of assignment, of their journey of completing some of the things that they need to complete? So reincarnation for some people that I've seen has happened 40 years, 50 years, 100 years. I don't know about 20 years because that isn't a full generation, but I have seen it in people. So let me just think for a second. We were in 2022 and the spirit was from like 1956 or something. So that was almost 50 years. Okay, let's see. Any other questions before I... Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, so we've got one or two questions here. I'm getting like all these different questions coming from different places. Let's see. What is you don't help? What is you don't to help a specific ancestor? Does this mean what is it that you do to help a specific ancestor?
Yes.
Well, I think that it depends on one, the ancestor. What do they need? Right? And again, you may need to find out what they need. It could be that you do a spirit circle. If any of you guys have participated in my, can you make a spiritual elegua? Yes, you can. Send a request to be in your live. Yeah, let's see. I think that's my goddaughter. Yeah, it is. Let's bring her on for a minute. Of course, everyone knows that I'm not good with social media. We have to get my husband to help with all of this because he's a social media expert. Hey, we're going to get to some of these questions. Hello, lovely. How are you? Can I introduce you? Okay, so this is my goddaughter, Tanya. She has a legba. She's a priest of Elegua. Someone just asked if they can make a spiritual Elegua. Thank God you're all looking cute to be on here. So yeah, you're on with me. You want to share anything about this conversation, anything that you want to. So for all of you who are on YouTube, I'm so sorry. She came on Instagram, so we're just going to take a little quick thing with her, and we're going to come back. How can we be one with your God? Oh, you can definitely be one of my godchildren. You got to get in touch with me, and I got to read you and find out how what it is that I can help you with. How do I let the people on YouTube hear what she's saying? Do I need to?
You have to repeat it.
Okay, I'll repeat it for them. Okay. That's because I have my headphones on. Okay. So the question that she asks, we're gonna ask that question and kind of because my YouTube babies, I gotta stay on here with them. So the question is, her grandmother transitioned a year and a half ago, and she wanted to know what is it that she can do for her grandmother to continue to uplift her. And so one of the things is periodically you can give her white light, right? Because everyone knows about white light. I don't care if you're a Christian, you're not, you're traditional African spirituality, whatever. White light and water. Why? What's in our body? Water. What brings flow in life? Water, right? So giving her white light and water, we already know that's on the list. Once in a while, give her what she likes to eat. That is one of the biggest things that you can impress upon with the ancestors is giving them foods that because that's for me right there. That was for me right there. They're going to know right off that's for them. Outside of putting their picture on the altar, putting something that is a beautiful keepsake that they had when they were alive, whether it be a piece of jewelry. They're saying for you, Tanya, something like some kind of hair barrette or some kind of hair thing, that she had. I don't know if it was a comb or like some kind of hair barrette, they're saying. So doing things like that is very, very helpful for people to know, for the spirit to know, oh, you put that there for me. That's for me, right? So let me see. I'm going to say goodbye for now. Let me see. Love you. Bye. I don't know how to. She'll just have to be there with me. I don't know how to turn that off. So, what do you feel? What if you feel your ancestors are avoiding you? Well, I did do a video that just came out recently about that they have an opinion about your life. Did you watch that here on our channel here on YouTube? That ancestors have an opinion about your life, your love relationships, how you treat your children, how you treat your loved ones, all of that. And so I encourage you to, again, remember, having a relationship with your ancestors is indirectly having a relationship with yourself. And so if you think that they're avoiding you, I have to be honest with you, that may be some of your stuff that's making you think that. There may not be all of them, because remember, you're not going to have 100 people at your altar, right? They're going to be the ones that are strongest through your maternal and paternal side that are going to be with you. You're not going to be looking for your second cousin, third removed, or anything like that. We put the cemetery, all belongings. Oh, that's very nice. Let's see, do we have any more questions before we close?
I'm Divine Ass, but what if you never knew your ancestors? How would you know what they like to eat?
Perfect. So let me give you a little tidbit. I love to give you guys tidbits because I think that when you hear from other people's experiences, You realize that you're really not that far off, right? You realize that your situation, other people are having this experience as well. So I have a goddaughter who did not know some of her relatives, and she decided to put up an ancestral altar and had some turmoil with some of her family members, and was just like, man, this is I have such turmoil, that she would say, about some of her relatives. And so she put her altar up, and she had it up for maybe about a couple of years, and all of a sudden she discovered she met a cousin that lived like a couple miles from her that she never knew. Right? They're there to help you find yourself. And so for people who, as I said before, who are adopted, who may have been in the foster system, who may not have grown up with their parents, or they just never met their parents at all, I'm here to tell you, you don't need to know who your ancestors are, because they know who you are, right? And so if you put up something, or you give prayer to them, libation to them, light to them, and tell them all that come in love, peace, and light, this is for you, to help you to become stronger, to be more elevated, and go on to the astral plane, that you can too come back and uplift the family. What is that on the screen?
Somebody's spamming us.
Oh, that's not going to help. All right. So how long do you keep the food and drinks? Throw it out the next day. Can you put your friend that passed away? I don't advise that you put friends on the altar if they've passed under poor circumstances, if they were like a sister to you and with you for a very long time, and you've had an altar set up for a long time, then maybe. But just a friend that, we were cool in school or whatever, and they just passed away, I don't advise that. Can you keep an altar in your room? Yes, you can. Put it behind a screen, put it in a closet, keep it. You need a moderator. You would be more than happy. Oh, yes. I can always use more moderators. Today it's my husband. I'm at home. But normally I have some of my godchildren and some friends that come to help. I thank you, and I'll take all the help that I can get. So now we're going to get ready to close, family. Iboru, iboye, iboshishe. Good to see you. So for my Instagram people, do we have any last questions? Should we do an altar for him? My brother passed away 2 weeks ago. If you've been here on this live, I said you need to give them anywhere from 9 months, preferably a year, to go through their transition. Give them white light for 9 to 21 days, white light and water and prayers, and let them go on their way. Please do not put up an altar for your brother who just passed 2 weeks ago. I'm so glad you asked that question. I know that you may be mourning. I'm sorry for your loss. But remember, he's an energy. He is around. But first, he has to transition. He has to go through his process so that he can come back and look for you, love on you, and take care of you and other family members. So let's see. Can you help a spirit cross over? Yes, by giving them white light and prayers. Absolutely. Oh boy. All right, family, we've got lots of questions coming here.
What about the husband? The person keeps asking because they're
Okay, what's the question about the husband? Let's hear that one before we close.
Okay. Earlier, what they had asked the question of was, why can't I dream of my husband? I get physical answers when I directly answer him a question. His mother's and his brothers dream of him, but not to me.
So that happens quite often that I hear people say, oh, these other relatives see this person, but I don't see them. Sometimes, and again, I'm not on the other side, I can only go with the information that has been shared with me over the years. Sometimes people do not dream of certain loved ones because of their connection with them. Sometimes they'll keep wanting to see them more and more and more, and that causes, again, some kind of friction between them transitioning and transforming. Two, sometimes people don't have the gift in that way to see the person. But I wouldn't worry about it. I understand. I know that you may want to see them and other relatives are seeing them, but I've heard this many, many times that, oh, this person sees this person sees this relative. Um, for me, me personally, I don't really dream a lot about people who've transitioned. I just get direct messages. But my husband, he's the dreamer, so he'll dream about all these different people. So I think that it's just also based on your makeup, right? Your makeup as a person, your makeup in your spiritual way of being. That's maybe one of the best answers that I could give for that. Family, it was great, great, great to no. Oh, this is a good question. This is a good one before we close.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent, excellent,
Yeah,
excellent,
yeah.
excellent question.
No.
Excellent question before we close, because this one also comes up a lot, and I may do a live on this. I dreamt about Whitney Houston, Ashe. Someone asked whether or not they should keep the ashes of their loved ones in their home. I want to see from some of you who thinks that you should keep the ashes of people who've passed on in your family in your home. Let's see how many hands we've got before we close. This is our last question before closing, and it's such a great question. Ding dong ding. No. I have some in a necklace. So we've got some hands down. I'm sorry, I have really small ears and these things always fall out. But it makes me uncomfortable. So I would like to share with you, I have had a minimum of maybe 8 to 10 people who are on the other side say, I do not want to be caged in your house anymore. You need to take to the river, to the cliff, over so they can get air, to the ocean, to the river. Put me in a mausoleum at a cemetery, whatever. Carrying around ashes can really cause a problem. I've seen 2 ladies who had necklaces with their parents' ashes in there. Then I had another family where all the siblings divvied up the ashes and they all had some of their mother in their home. This can be very problematic. Think about you. Think about if you passed away and someone had your arm and another person had your arm and another person had your shoulder and another person had your foot. I believe that the spirit world and life is very, very practical. And Spirit has taught me that many of this is very practical and very logical. And so, it seems dark, I agree. So the Spirit, yes, I understand. I'm not here to tell you to not have it in your home. If you choose to have it, that's up to you. I'm here to provide information, to provide another way of looking at it, provide information that the Spirit and the ancestors have shared with me. It is best to take them. There even have churches that have areas within the church where you can take ashes and put them in the church where they're all experiencing prayer all the time. Someone says plant them in your garden. Absolutely. There are lots of things you can do. I don't advise that people keep them in their home because remember, the spirit is free, right? The spirit is free, and keeping them encased in your home also kind of keeps them restricted, but also if they're not evolving based on their character, their spiritual enlightened state, that can become problematic for the person who is holding the ashes. So I thank you today for these questions. It was wonderful spending time with you, wonderful sharing all of this divine information, and I hope that you've all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, supporting Yeyeo Botanica, yeyeo.com. Got lots of wonderful things to learn, to share, to experience with us this year. And see you all next time. Ashe, ashe, ashe. I'm gonna ring that bell as we all. All right, family. Good to see you all. And of course, you all know me. I'm always fumbling around at the end.